to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be discussing The Ultimatum South Africa, episodes 7 to 9. Sorry if my voice sounds horrible. I'm coming down with some sort of cold or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's really weird. I feel somewhat okay, but congestion and whatnot. But anyways, with that being said, there's nothing to discuss on top of the episode. We're just going to be discussing this show. So let's get into it. The Ultimatum South Africa, Season 1, Episode 7, Back to Reality. Is that an M&M song? Or is in an M, like A Mile? It sounds like that. Anyways, So I think we're kind of left off with Kenya, I believe, kind of saying like, everyone's probably gossiping about her or whatever. Everyone at this point is just kind of done. I think it was her anyways, because we're left off at the change back. Anyways, we're going to leave this here. We're going to say our goodbyes. So Kenya she's just ignoring him, not talking to him at all. And she won't even let him sleep in the bed, which is like, fine. If you don't want him sleeping in the bed with you, whatever. But it's just her attitude and how she handles herself, because she's just like, get out of my bed, take your cheap wine and get out of my bed. She pours it on him. It's just like, there's just ways to handle yourself, and this isn't it. It's ridiculous, but anyway, Caesar and Lindeley, she basically asks him, are you in love with her? And he's like, they've had this connection, which is whatever. But he says to her, we have been intimate. And she kind of does this double take. She's like, what? And I also said, what? Because from my understanding, no, you haven't. Unless he's using the proper definition of intimacy. Doesn't just have to mean sex, but it's just like, when you say that to somebody, it's just like, you're not really thinking how that's going to sound to somebody. But anyway, Tubby and Genesis, they're back at their apartment, and he has like a gift for her, which is a watch, and she's really happy about it. She's excited about it or whatever, but then she starts making her way to the bed, and she sees there's a gift there as well. And she's thinking it's from him, from Genesis. But she says, I'm noticing as I get closer to that bed, his excitement is gone. His face is changing. Because y'all, this is not his gift. This gift is from Lindeley, and it's a bear. It's this big stuffed bear. And he just left it at the apartment. Now, I don't know how I'd feel about this. Eddie, personally, I would also be a little uncomfortable, potentially a little upset that you're gifting, that you're giving her this gift now in what is my trial marriage, when you could have done this in your trial marriage. And I mean, you can't hide a big ass bear, but it's just like, it's just, there's a time and there's a place, and this isn't it. And she's all excited about it and everything. And it's here she says to Genesis, I actually had a gift for him too, and I didn't get a chance to give it to him. So she's going to give it to him. Not yet, but we'll see that in a minute. And it's just like, it's kind of hard for me to see some other guy treat my woman better than I guess I am. Which, on one hand, it's great that you're coming to that realization, and then maybe see where you need to improve. On the other hand, I think it's just in poor taste that Lindeley is giving her a gift now in someone else's trial marriage. Like, I can understand doing it as a token of appreciation, but it's just not cool. So then we see Courtney and Aiden, and she's telling him that I have expectations in this trial marriage, and I will leave you if you don't step up. Well, damn. Ruth, she's apologizing to Isaac for, how he found out about it and how she acted afterwards after he found out about it. Which is like, okay. She says, I'm not going to apologize for the actual act of me having sex with him because I only apologize if I feel I've made a mistake and I don't feel like I've made a mistake. Okay. But I feel like you're better off just saying, I realize that I have hurt you. That wasn't necessarily my intention, which I don't think that would have been true anyways. I do think it was her intention to hurt him because he hurt her. Um, that being said, I feel like it's better to acknowledge how he's feeling and try to address that and address how you go forward. But apologize because for him, I understand where he's coming from. Because when you're saying, I apologize for how you found out and how I acted, which you should apologize for how you acted. But saying you apologize for how you found out, it's like, well, I don't think that's the issue here. The issue isn't how he found out. The issue is that it happened in his mind. There's no way you could have told him that would have made this easier for him. So when he says to her, when she says this is, so you apologize for how I found out, how you've acted, but you're not apologizing for what you did. And that part to him is just, he can't understand that, which again, I see both sides to this. I understand him wanting the apology for doing it at all, but I also understand her saying, I don't feel I made a mistake, so why would I apologize? Now, these two people really took the we're breaking up very seriously, because I feel like even if, like I said this before, I feel like if you're in a trial marriage with somebody else, but it is to benefit the relationship you came in with, having sex with somebody ain't it. You're technically still in a relationship with someone. You technically cheated on Isaac. And if you cheat on someone, I mean, I'm sure people can take it or leave it, but if you're going to apologize, I would expect you to apologize for the actual act of having sex with someone else behind my back. And like that, I understand. So yeah, he basically says that he doesn't want to be there, so he's going home. Tabby goes over to the house. This is the next day. Goes over to the house to give Isaac his gift. Not Isaac, sorry, Lindley his gift, and it's basically just like a T-shirt with like a note. But and she did this in front of Genesis too, or at least with Genesis in the room. Used her lipstick and kissed a piece of paper that had like this note to him, which is like, it's very intimate. And I'm telling you right now, if my man was getting shit like that from some other woman, I'm gonna lose it. I don't care the situation. But anyway, you see, Isaac is returning. So he did leave and he's returning. And he says, we aren't cool necessarily, but I'm choosing to forgive you. He's going to sleep on the couch. He's not ready to be in the bed with her. But she says, like, that couch does not look at all comfortable for you. So just come sleep in the bed. And he's like, no, I'm good. And she said, no, like, seriously, like you're not going to be able to sleep on this couch. So just come sleep on the bed. And he's like, don't touch me then. Cause he's just not there. Anyway, Cisa is back. I guess she wants to work. She comes back and she sees the gift bag just sitting on the counter. He didn't even move the goddamn gift bag. He did that on purpose. He left the even though he says, oh yeah, I was going to move the gift bag. No, you weren't. He left the gift bag there. And she's like, the fuck? And she sees the note in the gift bag and she reads the note. And then he comes down and they're talking, whatever. And he's pretending like it's not happening. She's not saying anything right away, but she does eventually say, what about this fucking gift bag? And he tells her, like, I actually, he never says that he gave her a gift. He never once mentions that he actually gave her a gift. That just that, she brought this gift over or whatever. But Caesar is very uncomfortable. She doesn't like the fact that she's given who is now supposed to be her trial husband a gift. And she basically asked him to give the gift back. And he did kind of push back a little bit on the idea of doing that, but he does eventually agree. Okay, I will give the gift back. He said he'll do it tomorrow. Anyway, Kenya, we're with her now in the ghetto, and she says, she says, you owe me an apology. And I wrote, are you damn delusional? How can you say he owes you an apology when you're over here yelling at him to get out of bed, accusing him of God knows what, throwing wine at him, but you expect an apology from him? Are you nuts? Ma'am, like for real, are you nuts? Because this is, I just don't, I don't get it. With that being said, let's move back to Linda and Caesar. So she basically asks him, because it is the next day, and she asks him, so are you giving the gift back? What's going on here? He says, you know what? I don't think I'm going to return the gift yet today. I think I'll do it later. And she's like, are you fucking serious? Like, you said you were going to do it. You should be doing it. Sticking to your word. But since you're not going to do it, fine. I will. Girl. So she goes to their villa, goes and knocking at the door. And she says to her, she says, sorry, Genesis, for what I'm about to say. I don't know if you know any of this, but I'm going to say it. And she says, listen, I don't appreciate you. She's being very cordial. She said, I don't appreciate you, giving a gift to who's not supposed to be her child husband. She says, it's our time. You had your 3 weeks. You should have given him his gift in the 3 weeks that you had allotted to you. I don't appreciate it, and I'm giving this back. And Tabby, like, she leaves, and Tabby's like, what the hell? Like, why would you do that? It's not that big of a deal. Like, she's actually really upset that she kind of is coming between that. And Genesis says, like, listen, I'm going to just play devil's advocate here and say, it is a little uncomfortable seeing him gift you something. But I also think at the same time that she doesn't know that he gave you a gift. So she's not understanding the fact that you're gifting it to him because he gives something to you. Like, he's potentially leaving things out. And yeah, that is very true. Then we see Ruth and Isaac, and they're talking. And Ruth is like, I do feel like you cheated on me. And she's referring to him and Kenya basically being naked together. She sees that as cheating. I can see that as maybe pushing boundaries, but ma'am, there is no competition here. It is one thing for someone to get a lap dance from someone clothed, or kissing someone, or seeing each other naked or something. That is one thing, which yes can make you uncomfortable, but trust the fact that nothing else happened beyond that. You had sex with someone else. You do not have a leg to stand on in this race. And if you think that saying, oh, I feel like you cheated on me because of X, Y, and Z to make what you did feel better in your head, you're sadly mistaken. She's all about, I don't apologize. I don't think I made a mistake. So own it. Own your decisions here. It's angering to me. But she then accuses him because he's like, I don't feel comfortable, blah, blah. And she accuses him, and she's like, then why are you here? Why are you here if you don't want to be here? Just go. Like, I don't think she's at this point just like, just go then. And he says, you wanna know why I'm here? Let me show you why I'm here. He goes to his suitcase, comes back to her with a ring box with a ring in it and says, "That's why I'm here." And you're literally left on, oh. Now, this isn't made clear until the last episode, but for those who didn't watch the episode or watch this show at all, you're just listening to me, I'll just say this so it helps with the context of things. He bought this ring before they ever even anywhere near entering this experience. This man has had this planned for some time. So it's, yeah, interesting. But that is the end of episode 7. We're going to take a break here, and when we come back, we will jump in with episode 8. And I am back. So let's jump into episode 8, which is The Last Dance. Not a lot here. It's very quick. The next 2 episodes are going to be pretty quick. But here we go. So we're left off again with Ruth and Isaac, and she says, "You should have told me you had a plan. I knew nothing." Ma'am? So she's basically, because I'm just kind of just doing the bullet point here. She's literally saying to him, "I had no clue that you were going to propose to me. If I knew, then maybe I wouldn't have had sex with Nola." No, ma'am. No, ma'am. If he was planning to propose to you 9 times out of 10, I mean, I think you have a general idea that maybe marriage is on the table, but you're not necessarily going to know that the man that bought a ring, that he's planning to propose, you may not necessarily know those things. And even if you didn't, that shouldn't have meant you took yourself and had sex with another man. Like, it's nuts. Anyway, Ruth and Sita were going for a walk. Ruth fills Sita in on everything that's kind of happened to this point with the ring and everything. And Sita tells Ruth about Tabby giving Linda a gift. And Ruth says that was a little bit selfish of her to do that, which I actually do agree. You're now intruding on someone's marriage. Like, nah. But she says, like, I think she says, Cisa says about herself that she really loves him, and like she's not gonna, she won't fight. Then we see Linda Lay and Nakatu talking, and Linda Lay says, Cisa, I know she still thinks about you. I know she's probably thinking about ways to get back to you, but ultimately he does say, like, don't take my girl from me. So I don't know. We'll see. So we're having another guys and girls nights out, and Aiden drops the bomb on, "I bought an engagement ring." So he's planning to propose. And then we see Tabby is asking, so what happened with the gift? Actually asking Caesar, like, well, what's up with that? And Caesar basically says, like, it feels like a fuck you to me that you gave him this gift, and it's just like you're not even thinking about how it makes me feel. But she tells her that Linda Lay left a gift at the villa. Like, she's trying to say, like, I did that because he did this. Like, yes, I had planned to give him a gift, but he gave me a gift, so it just felt right to give him his, no matter the intentions behind it, really. And Caesar says, like, she didn't know, obviously, because he didn't tell her. So, yeah. Then Genesis, he's talking to Linda Lay, and he says, but the person on the bed, dude, my guy, like, he didn't like that at all. And I do think on both of them, it's just in poor taste. Like, don't do that. It's unfair to their partners. Then Kenya, I'm going to unpack it. I'm going to let you all know what happens here, and then I will say my thoughts. So, Kenya asks Ruth, made you sleep with Nola? And plain as day. No if, ands, buts about it. She just says, I just want to have sex. What? So you basically just had sex with Noel because you just wanted to have sex? Like, you're so horny, you just had to have sex with this guy? Really? But Kenya kind of takes it a little too far. Like, I can understand her kind of being like, that's an interesting reason to have sex with somebody that you barely know. But she takes it too far and is basically slut shaming Ruth and is kind of like basically making her feel dumb for her choices. Like, why would you take yourself and have sex with this man you barely know? And she's like, it's my body. Like, what's it to you? Blah, blah. So I'm gonna say, number one, Kenny, know your business. If she wants to fuck this guy, this fucking guy, then let her. That's her problem to deal with later on, not yours. And let it be. It's not your problem. On the other hand, do I think Ruth's reasonings for having sex with someone she barely knows, she's only known for maybe 2 weeks at that point, is when you have a relationship? I want to stress that. If you're a single person and have sex with someone you barely know, go for it. I've done it. 7 years later, I'm still with him. So it can work out. But I wasn't in a relationship. I was single. I could do whatever the hell I wanted. She isn't. And you're just out there having sex with this person is because you want to. Not enough of a reason. But it is not up to Kenya to shame her for her reasons for doing so. It is what it is. Not my problem. But Kenya makes it her problem. They kind of go back to their respective places, and Ruth is with Isaac because he's there, and she tells him kind of what happened and, you know, how Kenya was handling herself, and apparently Kenya called her ratchet at one point, and he's like, really? You told her all that? And she's like, yeah. He's like, that's my girl. Like, he's all about it. He's like, you stood your ground, you stood up to yourself. She was upfront and said I had sex with Nola because I wanted to, and I told her that. And he's just like, okay. Like, he's, again, when someone is coming at you like that, like, what else can you do, you know? And meanwhile, Kenya is back at her place, and Nakatsu's there as well. And she's just going on about, you know, this and that and whatever. And he's just there like, great, we're going to be here forever because she's going to be talking about this for hours. Because when she gets pissed, this is what she does. And I'm like, we've saw what she did it to Isaac. Bless your heart. But anyways, Aiden and Courtney, we see them meeting up with her parents, and his mom is going to be there as well. And everything's kind of seeming to go fine. Like, I'm not going to rehash this whole thing, but Courtney and his mom go aside and they are talking amongst themselves, and it's basically just left with Aiden and her parents. And he does say, like, listen, I want to propose to her. Do I have her blessing to do so? Whatever. And I mean, they say yes, and pretty much, but her dad just kind of shakes his hand, and that's kind of his way of saying, you got it, guy. And they do say the only requirement they have of him is that he finds full-time employment, for which obviously he agrees. We'll get back to that when we go to the reunion. Then we see Ruth is finally meeting up with Isaac's family. But I mean, it doesn't really go good. They kind of say, like, so maybe the reason we didn't know about her, or the reason you've been maybe hesitant on certain things, because you're not ready to marry her. And for her, like, she feels like she needs more than what she's getting from him currently. They're not satisfied in their relationship by any means. So, I mean, I guess obviously, yes, we do know what happens, so we're going to get to it, but that is it for basically episode 8, I believe. Well, I'm just double checking. Based on my notes, it definitely looks like that's the end of episode 8. Yep. Okay, yeah, that is end of episode 8. So we're gonna take a quick break here, another break, and when we come back, we will finish up with episode 9. And I am back. So, the ultimatum now, episode 9. Do you propose or do not, or not to propose? That is the question. So we're just going to go couple by couple here. There is one couple we kind of return back to, but we'll get to it. So first we have Kenya and Nakatu. And y'all, they do their speeches and whatnot, and I'm not gonna go rehash all of that, but they do that, and he gives her a fucking promise ring. He literally says, I promise to marry you at some point. And she thinks that it's an engagement ring until she realizes it's not. And she's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with the promise ring? Amen to fucking that. How can you gift her a fucking promise ring? Are we two? You're 30 fucking years old or however the fuck old you are. She's a 34-year-old woman and you're thinking that a promise fucking ring is the way to fucking go. And the thing is, oh, we're not saying this too soon. Let's just do this. So she asks him, can you take it off? Like she doesn't want it and she walks away from him. We'll come back to it. The next part I was going to say, but we're going to go to the next couple first. But I just don't understand how you can give someone a promise ring when you're in your fucking 30s. Like, what the fuck? What's the fucking point? And I remember thinking in this moment, I'm like, is this all supposed to then act as the engagement ring? Because you can tell the man's probably cheap and doesn't want to have to pay for another fucking engagement ring. Because that's my thing. What's the point? You might as well just save up your money for the actual engagement ring. I'm sorry, but if my man came at me with a fucking promise ring, I'd be like, what the fuck? What's to do with a promise ring? Like, no. No. Anyway, we'll take a break from them. We are coming back to them. But Season and Lynelle are next. He tells her that I know you are the person I want. And he gets down on a knee and he proposes. And she says, yes. Back to Kenya and Nakatu. He asks, why can't you accept what I am offering? Because that is not fucking enough. No woman at 34 is going to accept a fucking promise for the actual engagement ring at some point. Are you fucking mad? Like, no way. No the fuck way. I'm with her and I don't fucking like her. I'm with her though. I'm not accepting a fucking promise ring. And I'm supposed to just take your fucking little droplings of hope. No, she's like, or he says, I want to promise that we will do the work and get married. That's his point of doing this promise ring. She asks him like, with this, or she's like, would this promise ring also then be the engagement ring? And I think he says he doesn't actually say anything, but the fact that he has a non-verbal response is a response, and it's most likely like, yes, he did think that he could make this promise ring act as the engagement ring later on. Are you fucking crazy? And she says, I have no choice but to move on. Like, what is the point of me staying in this relationship with somebody who is so hell-bent on not actually committing to me? So she's like, I guess I'm gonna have to move on. But that's a wrap up on at least those two, Kenya Nakatu and Season Lindale, and we will catch up with them on the reunion. But that's now move on to Courtney and Aiden. And she says that I can't see a box on him. She's looking around in a suit, looking in the pocket, whatever. She's like, I can't notice anything. Surely I would see something. Well, maybe not. But because he does eventually get down on the knee and he proposes. To her, she says yes. But she does say to him, while, like, even though she does say yes to him, she says, I do fear your indecisiveness. But she says, I also got something for you. And out of her fucking shoe, she pulls out a ring that's in like one of those mesh bags, and she had a ring for him. Now, I don't know, but I do know what the purpose of the spring was supposed to be. But we'll get to it. We'll talk about that in the reunion. But that's a wrap on them. Let's do next. Isaac and Ruth. Isaac says, I bought this ring, like I mentioned before, long before we got into this process. He tells her that I love you, but you deserve better than me. Oh. She says, I didn't like how you were treating me here, so I think we should break up. Y'all are done. And you know what? If he did propose and she said yes, I would have been shocked. I do think there was a point in time where, yes, they were in love with each other and whatever, but there's so many things wrong for she thinks is wrong and he thinks is wrong and whatever. They're never going to get past those things. And with her having sex with Nola was the straw that broke the camel's back for him. And there was just no coming back from that. But he is upset for sure. And she was hoping that he was going to, I think she or he, one of them, I think he says that he hoped that like they were gonna leave here together and this was not how it was supposed to be for them. And yeah, that's it for Ruth and Isaac. We'll catch up with them in the reunion. But now we got Happy and Genesis, and they're our last couple, and he wrote something for her, so she reads it, and I'm not gonna go through everything that they said, but it was very sweet. And he put on like a cut up heart. It was really cute. But on the back of it, he says, I flip it over, and on the back is the proposal. And she says, are you sure you want to do this? Are you for sure? Like, are you sure? Because like once you say yes, you can't back out. Are you sure? And he says yes, that he is sure. And she says, okay, then yes. So yeah, they're gonna do this thing. They're gonna figure out pay the bride price. So yeah, they're gonna be doing this. So yeah, in total we had, let's see, 1, 2, sorry guys, I had to take a quick pause because my mom is fighting with a moth in her house. Anyways, yeah, I think we had 6 couples, and from this part of it, 3 of them don't last. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how things turn out on the reunion. Of course, I already know. But we'll talk about that in the next episode, which will be a standalone episode for the reunion. But that is it for this episode of The Ultimatum, South Africa. So if you like what you heard, please rate, review the podcast on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Also, don't forget that you can also share us with everyone in your life if you really love this. And I do want to read those reviews. I'm definitely getting 5-star ratings, but I want to read those reviews. So send me those reviews and I will read those 4 and 5-star reviews on the podcast. Also, we're on every one of your favorite podcast apps. Every one of them, including you can find us on YouTube at Reality Tea Times2. If you want to connect with us, you can do so by going to either Facebook or Instagram at Reality Tea Times2. You can also find us on Twitter, TikTok, Reddit at Reality Tea Times2 Pod. We also have our email, which is at realityteatimes2 at hotmail.com. Definitely want to hear from you guys. And we also have our new website where you can listen to all of these episodes. You can review the podcast on there as well. You can connect with me in any way, all the stuff. It's all there, and you can find me there at www.realityteatimes2, all spelled out, .podpage.io. It's there. And don't forget, I also have my other podcast with my friend Mikkel, Next Take Podcast, where we talk about all kinds of different topics. But you can find us on any of your favorite podcast apps over there as well. Or you can also go to YouTube, and you go to Next Take Podcast, as well as our website, which is solo.to/Next Take Podcast. So yeah, there's that, and that's basically that. And again, don't forget, if all of this information is overwhelming, we do have all of the links, everything in our show notes. But that is it for now, guys. Thanks. Bye.